Hi, hi. Welcome to a very different TerranScapes video. This is a format I might try to include in the future and do some sort of, work on progress videos to show you exactly what I'm doing. And in this case, I decided to take the ruins of Amon Sul, which I've done a video on before, showing you some of the bubbling that was in the surface of it. And I decided this was an excellent opportunity to try out some liquid green stuff. Citadel just released this. This is designed to fill small gaps and defects in models. And I thought it might be the perfect application for it and hopefully allow me to quickly fix most of the surfaces on the ruins. And I'm hoping to complete this entire thing in an hour. What I'm going to do is do a little fast forward on some of the, the actual work that you can follow along, zipping along. I do have some music playing in the background. I have to work with some music going on or something distracting me in it mentally a little bit. So don't judge me by my music. It's what I listen to. It's my Pandora station, so not every station is, not every song on there is a band necessarily I'm a super fan of, but it gives you a little taste of the music that I listen to, although it seems like the mic isn't picking it up that much. So if you don't hear it that much, well, maybe next time I'll turn it up if you're interested. So first, a quick couple comments on the Citadel's green stuff. The green stuff is really very paste-like. I don't think you can mix it by shaking it. I think you'd have to stir it, but it doesn't appear to be separating. But you can see the drip, coming. Oh God, I got to get used to the camera. You can get used to you can see the drip coming off of there. That it's a very heavy-bodied product. So I'm hoping it's going to fill bubbles in one pass. I did do a test spot last night just to see how it would dry and what kinds of strength it gives. And I liked it. It's a performance, but it does look like I'm going to have to go over this spot twice. And so I might have to do 2 passes, but probably by the time I get around the whole thing on the outside and the outside will be dry and I can go back through it again. So I'm hoping to get it all done in 1 hour. That's the target goal. Let's see, any other thoughts on it? I don't know. This is really experimental, so if you're not interested in watching me paint, feel free to just skip this video, but I thought I'd try something new, and it's a style I might try to incorporate in future building projects down the road, so consider this really a test video. One thing I don't like about pots like this, and I think the green stuff might suffer from this very heavily, is rapid drying out. I don't see how I can possibly get through this pot before it dries out. Before I zip up the speed, I'll just tell you a little bit about my observations of using this. I find that you really need to kind of glob it in for a deep recess, but it stays fairly smooth, and you can then spread it out along its edges, and I don't think it's going to really show much if you feather it out at the end. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm not going to chase every bubble. I'm going to just try to get the worst of them, the big ones. There are several micro bubbles, but they're not too bad, and I'm not going to worry about them. Where there are gaps in the assembly, I'm not going to go to try to build it out in thickness and make a smooth union. It's pretty extreme, this overhang here. So what I'm really just trying to do is eliminate the gap that's in between so it doesn't look like it's hanging. Seems like it shrinks a little bit when it dries. That makes sense, though, because it's going to have some kind of a solvent in it. And if you've ever heard me talk about glues, anything with a solvent in it, by nature, has to get smaller when it dries because it loses volume, loses mass. You know, and as it's drying, it's reopening some of these holes. So it looks like some of them are definitely going to need a second pass, unless I can really. There's a review of green stuff, liquid green stuff, up on the YouTubes by a good friend of mine, Greg, who does the Unplugged Gaming podcast. And if you haven't listened to the Unplugged Gamers, not Unplugged Gamers, I'm sorry, Painting Tabled. Painting Tabled is a Warhammer podcast that actually I'm doing terrain tips on. I think there's 2 out there so far. So if you're interested in getting a different perspective from me on terrain, that's a place to go and listen. But he did a very nice review of green stuff. Doesn't show him actually applying it, but put it down on a model, does some nice photographs of it, and it really gives you a sense of you know, how another gamer perceives its functionality. Anyway, I recommend that video, and if I include this audio, I will include a link to it in the description. And if you are into Warhammer, or really maybe miniature painting in general, I recommend their podcast. Not because I'm on it, but because I'm finding it very enjoyable to listen to when I'm painting my miniatures. You know, you need something going on in the background sometimes, and it's great to feel like you're not alone when you're faced with the daunting task of painting an entire army. Okay, well, this is coming along. Funny, when they released liquid green stuff, everybody was like, oh, it's because they need it to fix their fine crap models. I haven't bought any of their fine cast models, but I've been a little afraid because of the holes in them. But perhaps it should have been to fix their Forge World stuff. Because I don't know what I would do for a lot of these bubbles without this. I should mention while I'm working on this, in case so I can conclude some more audio than I expect, that I did just get the the white Vampire Count's white standard bearer from Forge World for my own army and photographing purposes, whatnot. And I have to say though, that cast was really very nice, very clean. Although I did notice at the end of the banner, the way it's been poured, that it does look like it was starting to accumulate some bubbles. They're very small, though, and for that kind of a model, they actually work very well, as the banner can look a little tattered or something. And I mean, when I say small, I mean it's very minor. Well, there you go. That's a 1 hour cleanup of the ruins of Amon Sul, plus 10 minutes. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And I don't know. Keep an eye on the channel. You never know. Something more like this might be coming along real soon.